When he got the keys to the kingdom after the old ruler had to flee in the middle of the night, Triple H has gone on a bit of a hiring spree. The game flexed his newfound power by rehiring many of his favourite wrestlers that Vince McMahon canned during his final months in charge, and even with Vinnie Mac now back in the fold, Trips could do worse than bringing the following 10 names back. If his father-in-law lets him, obviously. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 ex-WWE stars Triple H should bring back. Unless Vince says no. Welcome back, Vince. Join us. Number 10, Matt Cardona. Right, let's get this one out of the way as soon as possible because all the signs are there that the former Zack Ryder is indeed on his woo-woo way back to WWE. As Long Island Iced Z, Matt Cardona's potential was squandered for years until he managed to get himself over through the power of YouTube. Pfft, stupid website, it'll never last. After a brief run with the US title, Ryder was sent plummeting back down the card and stayed there pretty much exclusively, bar a false dawn or two, until he was cut from the company in 2020. Since then, he has reinvented himself in a way nobody saw coming. Gone was his former goofball persona, and in its place was a mean, tough-as-nails bastard who would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. He's been a champion in Impact, GCW, the NWA, and even had a cup of coffee in AEW. He actually recently filed to trademark his old WWE ring name, and there's the small matter of his wife Chelsea Green turning up in the promotion at the 2023 Royal Rumble. The former Intercontinental Champion might even be back by the time this video goes live. If that's the case, vindication for us, I guess. Welcome back, Zack. Number 9, James Storm. Hold your horses, we know that Cowboy James Storm is far more famous as a TNA/Impact star, but he did make a couple of appearances for WWE back in 2015. Literally a couple, he wrestled 2 matches on NXT. Storm was already a near 20-year veteran by the time he finally wound up in WWE, but chose not to sign for the promotion in favour of returning to Impact. Now, with the former NXT boss at the helm of the whole company, it is time to right that wrong. Though he's in his mid-40s, Storm was still wrestling for Impact as recently as 2022, and he's been making some appearances in OVW as of late as their top champion. His wealth of knowledge and experience is one reason to bring him back, but there's another that superseded all others, and I can sum it up in just 2 words. Beer money. The thought of the legendary tag team Beer Money Inc. never performing together in WWE is a sad one. Storm can go straight to the main roster, rejoin with Bobby Roode when he's healthy, and show the world that they are sorry about their damn luck. Number 8, Billie Kay. The Iconics, with either one eye or 2, were a very popular tag team in both NXT and on the main roster. Peyton Royce and Billie Kay were genuine best friends, and this connection shone through in their work. They were brilliantly funny, seamlessly bouncing off each other in backstage promos, and their chemistry in the ring was just as strong. So, obviously, WWE released them both in 2021. The pair reunited at Impact, quickly winning the Knockouts tag team titles. However, neither woman has wrestled a match since April 2022, and it appears as if they are done with the sport altogether. But if anyone can tempt them back, it's Papa H. Kay would be a great addition to the women's roster in WWE, either as a mouthpiece for another performer or if she wanted to get back in the ring herself. Although she's been gone a little while, fans still fondly remember her iconic antics, so a big pop would be guaranteed for this Aussie's return. Oh, and the reason we haven't mentioned Royce here is because she's recently had a baby, and that's probably her top priority right now. Number 7, Scotty to HOTTY. Stick with me here. Although he hasn't wrestled regularly for the company since 2007, Scotty 2 Hotty was employed by WWE from 2016 to 2021. One half of Too Cool was a trainer for NXT, very occasionally making on-screen appearances before asking for his release in 2021. Since then, Scotty has wrestled for promotions all over the world, sharing the ring with everyone from Fandango to Jay Lethal to Colt Cabana. Wrestling is clearly still the man's passion, so why not bring him back as a trainer and use him sporadically on screen too? He can clearly still go, and he's only 49 years old, which rather scarily only makes him 4 years older than James Storm. Not only is he still beloved by wrestling fans to this very day, but he's also a living, breathing link to the Attitude Era. era. And there's nothing WWE loves more than to remind people of the time they were hotter than lava. Also, the opportunity to team him up with Otis one time and get them to do a worm caterpillar crossover is just too perfect to pass up. Number 6, Killian Dane. Better known as Big Damo on British soil, Killian Dane first turned up in NXT as a member of the group Sanity. There were 4 of them, and he was a last-minute replacement, so I guess that makes him the Ringo? That sounds like an insult, but Ringo Starr is a bloody brilliant drummer, and so is Killian Dane. Well, he's a wrestler, but you get my point. Despite being roughly the size of a bungalow, Dane could move around the ring with frightening speed and was just as athletic as some men half his size. Despite being red hot on the black and gold brand, life was a lot less kind to Dane once he and the rest of the group were called up. After floundering for a couple of years, Triple H tried to rescue his favourite giant Irish baby by bringing him back to NXT, but sadly he too became a physical of the great pandemic budget cuts. In terms of presences in wrestling, they do not come much more unique than this one. Whether it's in the ring or as outside muscle, Dane adds so much to an act that it's puzzling that a major promotion hasn't tried to sign him since he left WWE. Number 5, Aiden English. WWE commentary. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's Percy Watson. The current commentary scene is a proper mixed bag, with Michael Cole doing some of the best work of his career and Kevin Patrick just sort of existing on Raw. However, outside of WWE, one former star is having a bit of a renaissance behind the booth. Matthew Raywald, better known as former vaudevillain Aiden English, was let go from WWE as a result of, you guessed it, COVID budget cuts. He had already tried his hand at commentary whilst working there, providing colour for matches on 205 Live and occasionally SmackDown. Since leaving, he's had a chance to spread his wings and find his footing, calling the action for companies like Impact and New Japan. English would be a great fit amongst the current WWE commentary team, and fans would love to see a bit of variety on the headset. Plus, he would absolutely kill it at company karaoke nights, a very important part of the WWE machine. Number 4, Eric Rowan. When Bray Wyatt made his big comeback at Extreme Rules 2022, fan excitement was at fever pitch. Someone who many believed to be the biggest casualty of the pandemic budget cuts was back, and we couldn't wait to see what he was going to do next. If only we'd known. Wyatt's return thus far has consisted of cutting pretty much the same promo every week, getting scared by Bo Selector on the Titantron, and having a rubbish match sponsored by a soft drink. Some still think there's hope for Wyatt if he can get this mysterious Wyatt 6 faction up and off the ground, and who better to fill out the numbers than a man who knows exactly what it's like to be under Bray's control. Eric Rowan was 1/3 of the Wyatt family and was tied to the group right up until he was let go in 2020 for you-know-what reasons. His appearances for AEW and on the indies have proven that he can still go, and he's got a tailor-made story ready for him if he were to come back. As long as we can keep him away from any brand tie-ins, he should be fine. Number 3, Millie McKenzie. It could end up turning out that Millie McKenzie's WWE release was the best thing that ever happened to her, as at just 22 years old, she has the whole world ahead of her. Since being let go in August of 2022, Millie has been doing her best to see some of that world by gaining more experience overseas in Japan, as well as wrestling around Europe and in her native UK. Already 7 years into her sports entertainment journey, McKenzie has been consistently really good for a while, and is only going to get better as she works in different places. WWE would perhaps be wise to sign her back up before somebody else gets their hands on such a promising talent. Perhaps once WWE Europe actually gets up and running, she will be, though she may also be lured by the excitement of traveling the globe. And that could really happen, since she reportedly turned down an NXT UK deal in 2018 in order to continue wrestling in Japan. Paul Levesque and his pal Michael Hickenbottom surely wouldn't want to miss the chance to aid in the development of a more than capable performer whose prime years are still to come. Number 2, Mickie James. Imagine if you had a job and then, one day, they fired you out of nowhere and sent all the stuff on your desk back to you in a trash bag. Well, if you're legendary women's wrestler Mickie James, you don't need to imagine. The six-time champion in WWE was let go in 2021 and publicly shamed the company for this uncaring approach to returning her things. Whilst there was very little chance of James returning under the regime that did this to her, the new power structure might be enough to tempt her back. Remember, it was Triple H who reintroduced James back into NXT via her NXT match with Asuka in 2016. Mickie recently competed her last rodeo in Impact, which culminated in her winning the Knockouts title. She's been on a great run over there, but one last WWE stint before she rides off into the sunset wouldn't go amiss. Number 1, Naomi. Somebody who wasn't let go as part of budget cuts. Never thought I'd see the day. Before the May 16th, 2022 episode of Raw, WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Sasha Banks and Naomi reportedly slapped the belts on John Laurinaitis' desk and told him, "We're out of here." Long-standing creative frustrations had finally boiled over and both women walked away in protest. Since then, Banks has reinvented herself in New Japan, whilst Naomi's wrestling career remains up in the air. Perhaps now is the time for her to swoop back in and join one of the best storylines in wrestling history. Naomi is of course the real-life wife of Jimmy Uso, which makes her a prime candidate to join the bloodline. This could go any number of ways. She could try to help patch things up between the group, or even be the wedge that drives them further apart. Whatever she did, you know it would be amazing. Naomi is simply far too talented to be left on the sidelines, so hopefully Big Balls Levesque does the right thing and extends a glowing olive branch for her to take.